Alright, let's go. This is Old Games Played Wrong. I pre-recorded this video and pretty much played through, and I guess I didn't turn my mic on properly, so I have the gameplay without sound. What I'll be doing, this is my first time doing it, but I'll be simply watching myself play, and I'll just comment as I go. I don't usually read the text crawl. Even when I was playing through in the video, I didn't bother. I played this game when I was like 3 or 4, and I beat it when I was, basically a toddler. So I'm pretty familiar with it, and I've seen these cutscenes thousands of times. Probably more times than I care to admit. But yeah, this is Todd McFarlane's Spawn for Super Nintendo. Old Games Played Wrong. And I just actually finished watching a couple people do Let's Plays on YouTube, and it wasn't that great. People would comment, and it'd be negative comments like, "Oh, whoa, I hate the controls," or "This game sucks." And really, it's just they're just stupid, or they're just they're bad players. That's usually the case. Like, if you're bad at a game, of course you're gonna hate the game, or try to have something to say about it to vouch for your own ineptitude. But that's not the case. This game overall is gorgeous. The art is incredible. The sprites, the animations for the sprites are pretty fluid. As you can see, the AI for the enemies isn't complex. This is a game made for children, and as you can see, the characters or rather the enemies are much less intelligent than a child at some points. But the controls are pretty smooth, pretty fluid. You have a light, medium, and a hard attack for your protagonist here. They all have certain functions. The controls aren't very floaty. They do what you want them to do when you want them to do it. Of course, you have to adjust to the mechanics, though, given that due to the fluid animation and the way the game is programmed, when you jump, you have to wait until the animation's fully complete of him landing, which is true to life, you guys. That's how legs work. You don't just magically, jump at will. You have to kind of give your body a chance to set itself up to jump again. So I have no complaints. I have to say, overall, aesthetically, artistically, mechanically, this game holds up even today. There were a lot of different things that your character could do in this game that I think were revolutionary. As you can see, when you hold jump or you double jump, he glides through the air. It's so smooth and cool looking. Your moves that you're able to do, as you can see, they serve certain functions. I can take this guy out with the spinning uppercut. I just dashed through 2 or 3 people at once using one of my other moves. As you can see, he has the ability to hit in front of and behind him simultaneously. Very important for when you're surrounded. Most games don't even bother covering that function, but as you can see, it's here, and it works pretty fluidly. And that applies to most of his attacks. As you can see, both the hard punch and the hard kick have the ability to reverse direction like that. And I think it also applies to the medium attacks too. As for the light attacks, I'm not too sure, because his light attacks are so fast that it would be fairly difficult to do, an attack that goes in both directions. In this game, I found that long-range enemies are pretty difficult to fight. They're pretty annoying. But keep in mind, you're playing with Spawn. Spawn has so many moves like this. I did a magic attack by holding the guard and pressing the hard kick. And as you can see, it found and it killed him. Super simplistic, very easy. I think that homing bomb that I threw just now, you have to wait until the light touches the opponent, and then you press the kick again, and that's what makes it ignite, which is really cool mechanic. And that's not the only thing that this character has. I'll show you more here. As you can see, it's basically the same move, but it's a lined up stream of those same light balls, and they home the enemies, and there's no ignition function. They simply search and destroy, which is pretty awesome. I love doing this uppercut. I think that jumping spinning attack that I did, sort of like a cartwheel midair, was pretty awesome, man. You feel powerful. As you can see, that's just the basic Hadouken there. It's even the same controls. You hold guard, you do a half circle, not even a half circle, quarter circle forward, and then you press the hard punch, and he'll throw a fireball. It's pretty awesome, man. I try to keep in mind when I play. Again, I haven't played this since I was like 4, but I do have not only fond memories of this game, but it's not perishable. Everything that you learn in it, so I remember everything like it was yesterday, from the controls to the cutscenes. But that meter on the top right of the screen, that meter gauges how much blood or energy your character has. So once that meter, as you can see, it started as 9999, now it's 9791, and when I use magic or I die, it's gonna get even lower. I think it depletes in intervals of 150 and up. But as it depletes, once it's all gone, it's pretty much game over for you. You can't continue because your character doesn't have blood anymore. But everything feeds off of that meter on the top right. I've always found that super intriguing. I think mechanically that is cool, and that's something that's unique to only this game. And that's just one of the things that I spotted about this. You'll notice for the boss fights are not difficult. All of the other Let's Plays that I've seen, people, they try to bash the game because they're too stupid to understand like how the boss works. But as you can see, all you have to do is jump over the attack and then hit the opponent. Sure, some of these fights repeat. When you fight the enemy the second time, his pattern will switch and he will learn new moves. But it's just another pattern for you to learn. As you can see, I'm taking this guy out with ease, and there's no difficulty here. That character, by the way, was Overkill. Overkill was created by Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld. They literally physically designed that character from scratch themselves, and they had Stan Lee standing over them to give them the name for the character, Overkill.
I'm going to throw, and I promise you, we haven't rehearsed this, I'm going to throw a name at them, and they're going to create a character based on what I tell them, and you better make it good. Overkill. You know, I wish there were a way to prove to the audience that this really is something that you guys are ad-libbing right now, but you have to take my word for it as a Marvel bullpenner that we've never done this before. We just decided to do this. Right. Okay. I just thought of something fantastic. You know what we're going to do when we're finished? What are we going to do? Both of you guys are going to sign this, and we're going to donate it to a charity auction.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Because I mean, this is really one of a kind.
And we're going to put it out on the movie, and like the Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles, and then we'll fight over it in 5 years from now.
And then we'll
be in court. We'll be in the tabloids.
Yeah, it's the last thing we need is a lawsuit.
Oh, there's no need to fight over it. It's obviously my creation, but you fellas were a great help, and I'm sure that I'll see to you get some sort of credit.
Okay, fair.
This is the easiest assignment I've ever had. You're doing all the work, and I just have to nod and say that's pretty cool and take the credit for it at the end, and we should do more shows like this.
Yeah, that's it.
Stan Lee wanted him to be like a mild, meek dude who's chained up or something like that. And he said once Overkill takes off the armor that he's wearing, he becomes an animal-like man, or he becomes, angry. Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld basically laughed and said, "That's retarded. No, that's not his backstory." And sure enough, I think what intrigued me about Overkill was their response to the character's creation, because both Rob Liefeld and Todd McFarlane undoubtedly created that character from head to toe. But I guess because Stan Lee had his hand in a pot, giving him the name Overkill, he wanted it to be his character. Which I think when I first saw that video, which I think was called Comic Greats, but when I saw that video, I lost all respect for Stan Lee. Rest in peace, man. But I lost all respect for him. It led me to the impression that Stan Lee, he steals artists. He steals artists' hard work. If you guys aren't familiar with the creator of Spawn, Todd McFarlane, he basically owns Image Comics. Image Comics is basically Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee. Some of the greatest artists of Marvel left Marvel because I guess they were tired of how deceitful Stan Lee and a lot of the writers were in regards to just simply stealing and owning their hard work. And I guess the end result is now Todd McFarlane, the owner of Image Comics. I think he's in Guinness. He has a Guinness World Record for selling the most comics in history, which it makes sense. Todd McFarlane was an animal. The guy was top tier, man. Like, if you had a comic artist who was good at drawing, Todd was that times two. If you had an artist who worked hard, Todd was twice the collar or twice the blue collar that artist was. There's no doubt Todd McFarlane is intelligent because he's a boss now, Look how far he took one character. His character alone has animes, he has movies, he has games, he has toys, he has a company of toys. The guy is what every comic artist wants to be in life. I don't know, I respect the dude. But I digressed. As you can see, this is the second fight with Overkill, and his pattern is totally different. So he's a lot more difficult than he was before. But honestly, it's still a cakewalk for me. This game isn't designed to be tough. It's designed to be fun. I've never had an issue with it, to be honest. I've picked up on everything fairly quickly. The first time that I defeated Overkill, or the first time you defeat any boss, it drops a little spawn logo in the center of the screen. When you get that logo, it fills up your magic or your meter on the top right. So the chances of you totally depleting your magic or your basically getting game over, or it's almost impossible unless you're a careless player, of course. Again, these cutscenes, I've seen these cutscenes, these images a million times. It's burned into my brain. I haven't seen it for years, but it feels like yesterday. So I usually skip those cutscenes when I get to them because I know the imagery already. I have a nagging suspicion too that Todd McFarlane himself drew those cutscenes. I can't prove it, but I'm getting the feeling of that. Considering this is Todd's baby, Spawn is Todd's creation, and he owns it without screw it. He has no embarrassment. He loves this character, and he owns it with pride. So I have no doubt that he drew those cutscenes for this video game. And if not, he did the concept art, I'm pretty sure of. That's the thing with Todd McFarlane. His ink work in his games is insane. He's pretty much a master with the pen, and he knows all the tricks and shortcuts when drawing. The guy was something. He was special, man. He was really special. People don't know Todd McFarlane introduced Venom to the Spider-Man universe. Venom is one of the most popular Spider-Man villains to date. Thanks, Todd. And also, Todd was, when he worked for Marvel, he was in charge of Spider-Man comics, and he pretty much blew it out the water. He'd do everything that Marvel him not to do. They'd be like, hey, too much detail in your webbing. He didn't care. He'd make them even more detailed just to spite them. Hey man, your style of how your character stands and looks, we don't like that. It's too bombastic and too dynamic. Well, he'll make it even more exciting and even more crazy. The guy didn't care, and that's good. That's something. That's what I live my life by. Nobody tells me what to do, and when you let people regulate your creativity, that's pretty much when you die as an individual. And I've never been the type. I'm always myself, regardless of what's around me. As you can see, for enemies with long range or enemies with guns, I have to throw magic at them because I simply can't reach them. Specifically in this area, it's really difficult because I'm essentially in a corridor and I can only jump so high. So I can't jump over their fire. Their fire is just too long. So it requires me to hurl things at them, which you guys have seen me doing. But you'll notice I don't have any issues here. I still have 9,000 for my meter on the top right, and I've been using magic carelessly, and I've also, I've died. So I don't know. I've never understood that. People less intelligent people would complain oh, I hate that meter on the top right. I hate that when you run out, it's game over. Well, that's a unique thing to this game for starters. So not only is that's something that helps you identify that you're playing a spawn game, but I think it's a really cool and very special mechanic. And also, it's so difficult to deplete it. Like you gotta have issues, you know. If you have a problem with depleting that meter too fast, you need to slow down, or you need to, you know, think before you do things. Because like I said before, this is made for children. I beat this when I was 4. You know? A 4-year-old, if a 4-year-old can tear through a video game, you shouldn't have difficulty with it. You know? And this is old games played wrong. Like I've played some bad games. Like I've played some Super Nintendo games that would freak you out, man. I've played some games that you probably wouldn't touch after a few seconds of it. And I can tell you guys firsthand, there's nothing difficult about this game. It's just fun from start to finish. I think the most outstanding thing about this is how powerful you feel. You feel really strong. All of your attacks, the variants of attacks, they have specific functions for each attack. And there's still things that I haven't even learned about this game yet. It's just, this game is perfect to me. Sorry, I'm testing out. It looks like I'm testing out the light punch here. That light punch has to serve a function in this game too. You'll notice like later I'll figure out what that light punch is for. I'll be fighting like really strong enemies that take like a lot of hits, and I use it as a stun mechanic to basically set them up so that I can hit them in a more fluid way, which you'll see later. This, of course, is the Redeemer fight. I've seen this cutscene so many times. Redeemer is one of Spawn's more popular enemies. For the people who actually read the comics, Redeemer's a pretty popular enemy out of his rogues gallery, besides Overkill, of course, and Violator. This fight, I remember the very first time I played this fight, I didn't have a tough time with it, but I was annoyed. Like this is a pretty annoying fight because he's basically just hurling mannequins at you, you know, bit by bit, and you know there's some points where it'll just hit you. Like there's nothing you can do. Well, you can guard, but I choose not to guard, of course. And he heals his life midway, which is pretty annoying too. So whatever hits you get on him, they don't really matter. This is super simplistic. He does a weird slow laser. You only have to jump. Just jump and glide, and the laser will miss you completely. Super simple, man. You can literally just spam or do this over and over, and you won't have any issue. I saw other people doing let's plays or playthroughs of this game, and they look really stupid. Like there are people who actually had a hard time doing this. As you can see, it's just the same thing over and over. Unless you have like, I don't know, the attention span of a block of ice, it shouldn't be this tough. Again, this cutscene, seeing these cutscenes 1,000 times. The art, telling this art style. I don't know if Todd McFarlane was in his digital phase, because this game came out in like the 90s, so I'm not sure if he himself drew those cutscenes. But I have a nagging suspicion that he rolled his sleeves up and he went for it. That, or maybe they scanned some work that Todd drew himself, you know, and converted it over. It's the only thing that comes to mind. This Redeemer fight, I've seen a lot of people doing this Redeemer fight too, and having a hard time with it, which freaked me out because this is so easy. As you can see, holding guard, pressing back forward, and hard punch does this crazy green power punch that takes so much energy from him that it's not even funny. Like, you're guaranteed to win the fight. And then I simply just beat him up from that point on. But yeah, I can never understand that. Probably should like jump or something right here, but this is me like filling it out. Sure, I'm familiar. I've beaten this game when I was 4, but I'm still, you know, it feels like I played this yesterday, so nothing really left. I've always been a pretty intelligent or pretty astute dude, so I don't really forget a lot. But I did have to like feel it out as I played it, you know, kind of figure out who's doing what, when, or where, or seeing if there's something new I could implement, you know, because I am older and a lot smarter, so it's, you know, it's not tough for me to mix and match and find new things. I remember this cutscene. I know the story by heart. There's this guy called the Mad One, and basically he took the soul of like 13 children and he put it into an orb, and he's gonna take that orb and he's gonna go to Mount Bolger and his level of hell, and he's gonna try to kill him with the orb. The issue is Angela, who's basically an angel, she works for heaven, she wants to save those children, because if the Mad One uses that orb, he basically destroys those children's souls. So she's basically employing Spawn to go and get the orb back. If you're familiar with Spawn, you know Spawn isn't like the type that, you know, takes orders from anyone. But he also loves kids. He has his own kid, Cyan, in the comics. So that's his soft spot. So of course, his mission here is he's going to go to an insane institute called Bedlam, and he's going to murder. He has to find the blackest, darkest soul he's ever encountered. And of course, it's Billy Kincaid, which is the if you've seen the HBO series of Spawn, or if you've seen the, you know, the earlier issues of Spawn, you know Kincaid was actually an ice cream man who kidnapped and raped children. But I'm pretty sure there's nothing, I can't think of anyone that could be more jacked up than that. So yeah, Spawn's gonna go twist his head off and take his soul, so that he can get into the last level of hell. I remember this part of the game, it wasn't that tough. Usually when I get to a part of the game where there's a bunch of enemies and I feel like I don't have to stop moving forward, I'll just jump over them like I just did here, and I'll just keep going, because why not? See my meter on the top right, I'm still up in like the 8 or 9,000s, so it's not really, I'm not gonna have an issue with running out of energy or getting game over. So I just run through the enemies. Pretty easy. This is another case of me filling it out. I honestly kind of let that fire hit me just to see what it looks like, just for nostalgia purposes. I wanted to see what the animation was like. I haven't seen this game in so long. Speaking of animations, the sprites are amazing, man. The animations are really fluid and smooth. I love everything about this gameplay wise. It's just perfect for me. It's aged very well too. It's I guess you can't go wrong with realism, I guess. So smart move on their part. That was weird. Yeah, but I'll give them that, man. Like, if you want, like, this is of course applying to animation in general, but I think personally, if you want something to stand the test of time, having, you know, a good FPS or working in deep or a lot of frames, that'll help you for the future. And of course, with me, resolution is important too. I think like high resolution on whatever product you're doing, you know, because, you know, quite some time ago we didn't have like 2K and 4K, let alone the 8K that we have right now. You know, like, resolutions are evolving as time goes, so I think the higher the resolution for your content, you know, the longer it will last. This is a personal tidbit here. This is the part I was referring to earlier too, with me testing things out, seeing what the light and the medium attacks do. I simply use the light and the medium attacks to gauge the enemy. I died right there just simply because I didn't remember that the spikes were there. I remember these stages inside and out. It's just every once in a while I forget, you know, certain parts of a layout. You know, so I'm not a computer. I can't remember everything. But once I get it, as you can see, I'll pretty much get through it without issue. This really hits you in the feels too, man. It's real nostalgic. Now watch here, I'm gonna play around with the light attacks just to show you like how they work. I hit him with a light attack, and then I try something heavy once I feel like he's in position to take the shot. And they're light attacks, but they're pretty good on damage. I think that the thing with the light attacks, people don't take in consideration when they play this, is the startup. There isn't very much startup to the light attacks. So in most cases, it's beneficial for you to use those instead of the harder attacks. I only really use the harder attacks for range, which I think is important too. But like that, I hit him with something light. He got on the defense. See, and then I pop him with something harder. That's what I think it's for. I think when you do a light attack on an enemy, it doesn't knock him down. It's to keep him on his feet, but at the same time, so that you can get yourself in a comfortable position to mess him up. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is the part where I reach Kincaid. Yeah, I reach Kincaid. I can't take him out yet though, because Violator is here. Of course Violator is here. This is a insane asylum. I'm not sure if this is a prison or an insane asylum, because he calls them cons. So, shoot, it might be both. Okay, I'm filling it out here because I don't really remember. I don't remember everything he does for this fight, to be honest. I haven't seen it in years. So it looks like he blows fire and he does a bite. It shouldn't be too tough. Given this is a boss fight, I know they're gonna replenish my magic, so I use magic for this fight. And I found his weakness. His weakness is that punch, so I'll keep doing that punch. And that's all it is. It's rinse and repeat. When you reach a boss, and the bosses they're all different. They get pretty crazy towards the end of the game too. But once you reach a boss, experiment. Try all your magic until you find a magic that hurts them, like really like devastates them, and then use it. That's what it's for, you know. Just try not to use it. Try to use it sparingly, you know. Don't be wasteful with the magic, because the magic is your life. Now the mad one, Crazy Pants, appears to, he has the staff and he's running towards Malbolgia. Pretty sure I just took out Kincaid, so I'm basically in hell now. So this next portion, I think this next stage should be hell. I think. Yeah. So okay. So Kincaid's dead, I'm in hell, and I'm on my way to stop the mad one from wasting those 13 souls to attempt to kill the devil. Okay, I remember this stage. The layout for this stage is really simplistic. It's I didn't have any difficulty with it at all, as you can see. And that pays testament to the way the game is designed. Like, the stages are very well made. They're so well made, in fact, that you can still remember the stage years later, which is like Super Mario levels of good. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I fly through this stage without one hiccup. Yeah, it's too easy. And that blows my mind, man. I hate seeing people play a game and then saying the game sucks because they're too stupid to play it. Like, don't blame a game for your ineptitude. Just suck it up as you being bad at it, you know? And I try to keep in mind, nobody knows everything. You can't play a game for the first time and just automatically know, you know, what to do, or, you know, the button set or whatever. But at the same time, you have common sense. Like, you should be intelligent enough to figure things out. Like that, this thing throws fire whenever I jump, right? So I'm gonna jump, and I'm gonna wait for the fire, and then I'll jump again. I've seen so many people get stuck right here, and it seems I'm having issues reaching it, so I'll just run and jump. And as you can see, no problem, because that's a function in the game. You can run, you can jump, and then you can double jump to glide, which covers way more space, or way more ground than the regular jump would. Little things like that, you know, just be intelligent when you play. And it's a function in the game. Most Super Nintendo games don't even give you these functions that this game gives you. I think this game is perfect. I'm just jumping in a hole right here because I know, I have so much meter, and that's what the function of that death animation is so that you can basically skip over wherever you don't feel like traversing. So I simply jumped in the hole a couple of times, turned into that orb, and then I just moved through the bottom of the stage. This is a boss fight. It's a really simple fight. You just have to put out the fire. I'm coming very close to 30 minutes here on the video, so I'm going to be ending it. I try not to, drag my videos out for more than 30 minutes. But yeah, this is old games played wrong. This is Todd McFarlane's Spawn, and I till this day think this game is perfect. I beat this game when I was 4 years old, and I'm a grown man, and I'm telling you, not only are the animations fluid, and this game withstands the test of time, but it's just a well-made, good game. I'm out.